So, in terms of the more complicated problems, what it's really going to revolve around is using exponents and making sure you get them done before you do any division, multiplication, or addition or subtraction. And the other thing you might see a lot of is brackets. But in this first example, we're going to deal with formulas and substituting values in, because that's where this is actually very, very useful. So the formula we're given, the height of the rocket is going to be 1,000 t minus 4.9 t squared. And t is the amount of time that has passed since the rocket took off. And the only way you would know that is by reading the question. You can't necessarily tell that from the formula. Now they wanted to know, after 5 seconds, how high would the rocket be? And in order to do that, you need to understand where do you put new numbers and what does that actually look like. Now, they said that 5 seconds has passed. That means t equals 5. And you should write that down if you're doing a question like this. So if t equals 5, how does that change our question? A lot of the issues are going to be with people not knowing how to put that 5 back into the question. You really just put the 5 where the t is. So 1,000 and a 5 there where the t was, minus 4.9 times 5 where the t was squared. Now, I would put it in a bracket so that I can remember those two numbers are separated and I need to multiply. But remember, if ever you see two numbers together like this, 1,000 bracket 5, this is multiplying, okay, between those two numbers. You're going to see it a lot the further and further you go into math in high school, so you might as well kind of get used to it now. Plus, it makes it really easy to sort out that step. When I'm looking at your work, I can tell they put a 5 here. I understand that. That makes a lot of sense. So now, I'm just following order of operations. Brackets, exponents, division, or multiplication in the order they appear from left to right, and addition and subtraction in the order they appear from left to right. So what's next? I have multiplying here. I have subtracting here. I have multiplying here, and I have an exponent here. So I do that exponent first. 5 squared is going to be 25. I put it under where it came from because that makes it easy for me to understand. And I also like to put that in the bracket just so that I know I'm going to be multiplying that later. I literally copy the rest of the question now. Change nothing. 1,000 bracket 5 minus 4.9 times 25. Perfect. Now, I'd look at the operations I have. Multiplying, subtracting, multiplying again. So which one am I going to do? I'm going to do the multiplying. But which of the two multiplyings? This one or this one? I have to do them in the order they appear from left to right. So that means I have to do this one first. 5,000. 5 times 1,000 is 5,000. I put it right underneath where it came from. Take away, and I just copy the rest. 4.9 times 25. Now, I have subtracting, and I have multiplying. Which one am I going to do first? I have to do multiplying. Always do multiplying before I do adding and subtracting. So, now I have to ask myself, what is 4.9 times 25? Well, if you can't do that kind of multiplication in your head, you absolutely should just pull out your calculator and start figuring it out. The way I would do it in my head is I would think 5 times 25, that's going to get me 125, and then I'm going to take away 2.5 from that, just based on decimals. If you're not so good with decimals in your head yet, use your calculator. 4.9 times 25 equals 122 and a half, just like I kind of suggested. 125 minus 2.5. Anyways, 122.5, however you got it in your head, on paper, with calculator, either way, then I copy the rest of the question. Then, all I have left is subtraction. I do one more step. 5,000 minus 122.5, and that's going to get me 4,877.5 meters high. So, that's pretty much how you do that question. It's very clearly laid out, but it's not any more difficult, really, than the previous questions we've been doing. The only difference is you have to solve that exponent first. Once you solve that, you're fine. So when you're looking at this question again, please remember two things. One, what do I do when I'm substituting numbers in? And second, make sure I deal with the exponents properly. If you do those two things fine, this question is not much more difficult than the last ones.